Well, good morning. Welcome to Quarantining with Pastor Michelle. And yes, my hair is looking fabulous this morning. So let's start with a little bit of the reflections. Remember to remember. This is what old man said to me one time. He was speaking of ceremony, of the act of bringing myself closer to Creator, returning myself to innocence, my original power. Remember to remember. He meant for me throughout my day to recall that I've taken the time to pray, to give thanks, to ask for a return to humility. Remember to remember. When I do that, everyone and everything I encounter becomes the beneficiary. It's good teaching as long as I remember. To live in ceremony is the greatest and truest gift you can give yourselves. Remember to remember. Let's open in prayer. Our Father and Mother who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Whew, let's take a deep breath. And let it all in. All the good in. And let all the yawns. and lift up a prayer to whatever you hold as a higher power. Because right now I think prayer and holding on to something is something that will help us to get through all these days. It's crazy. We're living in some crazy times right now where we don't have a lot of answers, but we are doing the best job that we can in the midst of all this craziness. And at least for me, what I believe is that God is still working. God is still present with us. And that gives me hope. That gives me assurance to know that. And so a bit of good news today from the CNN. Here's our bit of good news. The 2020 Father of the Year race just got competitive. Torrance Burson saw how devastated his daughter Gabrielle was when her college graduation was canceled, so he got creative. Over 6 weeks, this dad quietly organized a front yard commencement ceremony, complete with a stage, curtain backdrop, and guest speakers. Nearly 40 members of her family attended. Seated social distancing style, which is like the new thing now, right? When you go to visit someone, when you go to a restaurant, everything is social distancing style. In all, the ceremony lasted a brisk 45 minutes, an improvement maybe all universities should consider when graduations return. Gabrielle was floored by her dad's surprise. I felt so loved, the new grad said. It was just great. And that's awesome that a dad would go to that much trouble to make sure that his daughter got a graduation. And here's a little look at this. That is a pygmy hippo calf. And so it's very weird looking, isn't it? The hungry little hippo was born last month at the San Diego Zoo. And while we can't go visit this hippo in person, his keepers are keeping us in a loop at his progress. He already weighs 25 pounds. I don't think I've ever seen a baby hippo up close. So that is our good news of the day. And so, as I said, I do hope all of you are doing okay. But without further ado, let's get to the woman of the day, shall we? Our woman of the day is Anna Pavlova. Pavlova. She's the most celebrated ballerina in the world. She says the right to happiness is fundamental, to follow without halt one aim. There's the secret of success. No one can arrive from being talented alone. Work transforms talent into genius. And so here we go. Let's hear about Anna, shall we? So Anna was born in 1881 during the cold, icy winter in St. Petersburg, Russia. Her father died when she was just 2, and her mother worked as a laundress so that she could buy food for her kids. Life was not easy, but one magical night, her mother managed to get her tickets for the ballet, and Anna's life changed forever. She fell in love with ballet at first sight and was determined to grow up to be a ballerina like the ones she had seen leaping and spinning on stage. Russia had and still has some of the best ballet schools in the world. And there's Anna right there, and there she is right there too. 8-year-old Anna had her mind set on getting a place at one of them, even if it meant having to move away from her mom. She went for an audition to try to prove that she was born to dance, but she did not get in because she was too young. 2 years later, she tried again and was offered a place at the Imperial Ballet School. Her dream was beginning to come true. She worked hard. She was taller and thinner than the other girls, and some of them teased her, calling her a broom. Though Anna was not as strong as some of the other dancers, she did not let this stop her. She worked out how to make her ballet shoes stronger so she could dance on the tips of her toes more easily. When Anna danced, her whole body trembled because her muscles had to work so hard. But she grew older and kept practicing. She created a style of dance all her own. At the time, ballet was much sportier and more acrobatic than the style of dance we know today. Anna's graceful, delicate movements, which trembled with feeling and brought stories to life, were dramatic and beautiful and set her apart from other dancers. She grew more and more famous, dancing the lead part in all the ballets. Her best-known solo and the most loved by her many fans was called The Dying Swan, which you can see that in the movie The Black Swan, I think. Anna danced her way across Europe and eventually the rest of the world, traveling to places where people had never seen ballet before. She believed that everyone should know about ballet, no matter how poor or how far away they were. She studied dance in countries from India to Spain, learning from the performers there and adding to her amazing power as a dancer. She never forgot where she came from. In Paris, she started an orphanage for young Russian refugees, caring for them as if they were the children she had never had. She loved animals, especially swans, and had a lake built at her London home, filled with the swans. One winter's night, a train Anna was traveling on crashed. When she wandered outside the snow in her pajamas to find out what was happening, she caught a terrible cold and that turned into pneumonia. As she lay dying, she called for her dress made of feathers, perhaps dreaming that she was going on stage for a final dance as a swan. Anna changed the world of dance forever, bringing a new kind of magic and poetry to ballet. Loved around the world for her warmth and her ability to reach out and inspire, Anna made ballet into an art form for everyone, showing the world that grace and beauty belong to all of us. And so there you go, my friends. There is some facts about the ballet dancer Anna Pavlova. And so tomorrow, actually, it may more likely be Saturday or Monday. As I said, I would do these Woman of the Days on Monday through Friday. And so our next Woman of the Day will be Moravia. I am awful at these names. I'm sorry. I try my best. It will be an Indian poet, singer, and saint. And so we continue on with all these amazing, amazing women in this book. If any of you want to buy this book, you can find it on Amazon. And so it's inspiring to hear about these women that have changed the world in all their different respects. And so, my friends, let's dive right back into Hunger Games, shall we? All right, so Katniss and Peeta have made their entrance into the Hunger Games, into the Capitol. And Katniss and Peeta had on outfits that literally were on fire. And Katniss thinks that Peeta is being nice to just kind of throw her off her game. And so Katniss is going right into it and kind of leaning into it. And the last we heard, Katniss gave Peeta a little kiss. And now they're at the training center. The training center has a tower designed exclusively for the tributes and their teams. This will be our home until the actual games begin. Each district has an entire floor. You simply step onto an elevator. Oh, and you yawn. Sorry. And press the number of your district. Easy enough to remember. I've ridden the elevator a couple times in the Justice Building back in District 12. Once to receive the medal for my father's death, and then yesterday to say my final goodbye to my friends and family. But that's a dark and creaky thing that moves like a snail and smells of sour milk. The walls of this elevator are made of District 12. Are made of crystals so that you can watch the people on the ground floor shrink to ants as you shoot up into the air. It's exhilarating, and I'm tempted to ask Effie Trinket if we can ride it again, but somehow that seems childish. Apparently, Effie Trinket's duties did not conclude at the station. She and Haymitch will be overseeing us riding to the arena. In a way, that's a plus, because at least she can be counted on to corral us around a place on time, whereas we haven't seen Haymitch since he agreed to help us on the train. Probably passed out somewhere. Effie Trinket, on the other hand, seems to be flying high. We're the first team she's ever chaperoned that made a splash at the opening ceremony. She's complimentary about not just our costumes, but how we conducted ourselves. And to hear her tell it, Effie knows everyone who's anyone in the capital, and has been talking us up all day, trying to win us sponsors. I've been very mysterious, though, she says, her eyes squint half shut, because, of course, Haymitch isn't bothered to tell me your strategy. But I've done my best, what I had to work with. How Katniss sacrificed herself for her sister, how you've both successfully struggled to overcome the barbarism of your district. Barbarism? That's ironic, coming from a woman helping to prepare us for slaughter. And what is she basing our success on? Our table manners? Everyone has their reservations, naturally. You being from the coal district. But I said, and this was very clever of me, I said, well, if you put enough pressure on coal, it turns to pearls. Effie beams at us so brilliantly that we have no choice but to respond enthusiastically to her cleverness, even though it's wrong. Coal doesn't turn to pearls. They grow in shellfish. Probably she meant coal turns to diamonds, but that's untrue too. I've heard they have some sort of machine in District 1 that can turn graphite into diamonds. But we don't mine graphite in District 12. That was part of District 13's job until they were destroyed. I wonder if people she's been plugging to us all day either know or care. Unfortunately, I can't seal the sponsor deals for you. Only Haymitch can do that. But don't worry, I'll get him to the table at gunpoint if necessary. Although lacking in many departments, Effie Trinket has a certain determination I have to admire. My quarters are larger than our entire house back home. They are plush like the train car, but also have so many automatic gadgets I'm sure I won't have time to press all the buttons. The shower alone has a panel with more than 100 options you can choose, regulating water temperature, pressure, soaps, shampoos, scents, oils, and massaging sponges. When you step out on a mat, heaters come on that blow dry your body instead of struggling with the knots in my wet hair. I merely place my hand on a box that sends a current through my scalp, untangling, parting, and drying my hair almost instantly. It floats down around my shoulders in a glossy curtain. I program the closet for an outfit to my taste. The windows zoom in and out on the parts of the city at my command. You need only whisper a type of food from a gigantic menu into a mouthpiece, and it appears hot and steamy before you in less than a minute. I walk around the room eating goose liver and puffy bread until there's a knock on the door. Effie's calling me to dinner. Good, I'm starving. Peta, Chena, and Portia are standing out on a balcony that overlooks the Capitol. When we enter the dining room, I'm glad to see the stylist, particularly after I hear that Haymitch will be joining us. A meal presided over by Effie and Haymitch is bound to be a disaster. Besides, dinner isn't really about food, it's about planning out our strategies. And Cena and Portia have already proven how valuable they are. A silent young man dressed in a white tunic offers us all stem glasses of wine. I think about turning it down, but I've never had wine. The homemade stuff my mother uses for coughs. And when will I get a chance to try it again? I take a sip of the tart, dry liquid and secretly think it could be improved by a few spoonfuls of honey. Haymitch shows up just as dinner is being served. It looks like as if he's at his own stylist because he's clean and groomed and about as sober as I've ever seen him. He doesn't refuse the offer of wine, but when he starts in on his soup, I realize it's the first time I've ever seen him eat. Maybe he really will pull himself together long enough to help us. Cena and Portia seem to have a civilizing effect on Haymitch and Effie. At least they're addressing each other decently, and they both have nothing but praise for our stylist's opening act. While they make small talk, I concentrate on the meal. Mushroom soup, bitter greens with tomatoes the size of peas, rare roast beef sliced as thin as paper, noodles in a green sauce, cheese that melts on your tongue, served with sweet blue grapes. The servers, all young people dressed in white tunics like the one who gave us wine, move wordlessly to and from the table, keeping the platters and the glasses full. About halfway through my glass of wine, my head starts feeling foggy, so I change to water instead. I don't like the feeling and hope it wears off soon. How Haymitch can stand walking around like this full time is a mystery. try to focus on the talk, which has turned to our interview costumes when a girl sets a gorgeous-looking cake on the table and deftly lights it. It blazes up, and then the flames flicker around the edges a while until it finally goes out. I have a moment of doubt. What makes it burn? Is it alcohol? I say, looking up at the girl. It's the last thing I was... Oh, I know you. I can't place a name or a time to the girl's face, but I'm certain of it. The dark red hair, the striking features, the porcelain white skin. But even as I utter the words, I feel my insides contracting with anxiety and guilt at the sight of her. And while I can't pull it up, I know some bad memory is associated with her. The expression of terror that crosses her face only adds to my confusion and unease. She shakes her head in denial quickly and hurries away from the table. When I look back, the 4 adults are watching me like hawks. Don't be ridiculous. Katniss, how could you possibly know an AVOX? An AVOX, snaps Effie. The very thought. What's an AVOX? I asked stupidly. Someone who committed a crime. They cut her tongue so she can't speak. She's probably a traitor of some sort. Not likely you know her, Haymitch said. And even if you did, you're not to speak to one of them unless it's to give an order, says Effie. Of course, you don't really know her. But I do know her. Now that Haymitch has mentioned the word traitor, I remember from where. The disapproval is so high I could never admit it. No, I guess not. I stammer and the wine is not helping. Peeta snaps his fingers. Deli Cartwright, that's who it is. I kept thinking she looked familiar as well. Then I realized she's a dead ringer for Deli. Deli is a pasty-faced, lumpy girl with yellowish hair who looks about as much like our server as the beetle does the butterfly. She may also be the friendliest person on the planet. She smiles constantly at everybody in school, even me. I've never seen the girl with the red hair smile. But I jump on Peeta's suggestion gratefully. Of course, that's who I was thinking of. It must be the hair, I say. Something about the eyes, too, Peeta said. The energy at the table relaxes. Oh, well, if that's all it is, says Cena. And yes, the cake has spirits, but all the alcohol is burned off. I ordered it especially in honor of your fiery debut. We eat the cake and move into a sitting room to watch the replay of the opening ceremonies as being broadcast. A few of the other couples make a nice impression, but none of them can hold a candle to us. Even our own party lets out in awe as they show us coming out of the remake center. Whose idea was the hand-holding us, Haymitch? Cena, says Portia. Just the perfect touch of rebellion, says Haymitch. Very nice. Rebellion, I have to think about that one for a moment. But when I remember the other couples standing stiffly apart, never touching or acknowledging each other, as if their fellow tribute did not exist, as if the games had already begun, I know what Haymitch means. Presenting ourselves not as adversaries, but as friends has distinguished us as much as the fiery costumes. Tomorrow morning is the first training session. Meet me for breakfast and I'll tell you exactly how I want you to play it, says Haymitch to Peeta and me. Now go get some sleep while the grown-ups talk. Peeta and I walk down together down the corridor to our rooms. When we get to my door, he leans against the frame, not blocking my entrance exactly, but insisting I pay attention to him. So, Deli Cartwright, imagine finding her look-alike here. He's looking for an explanation. I'm tempted to give him one. We both know he covered for me, so here I am in his debt again. If I tell him the truth about the girl, somehow that might even things up. How can it hurt, really? Even if he repeated the story, it couldn't do much harm. It was just something I witnessed, and he lied as much as I did about Deli Cartwright. I realize I do want to talk to someone about the girl, someone who might be able to help me figure out her story. Gail would be my first choice, but it's unlikely I'll ever see Gail again. I try to think if telling Peeta could give him any possible advantage over me, but I don't see how. Maybe sharing a confidence will actually make him believe I see him as a friend. So will we find out who that Avox girl is? You'll find out tomorrow. So, my friends, I do hope all of you have a wonderful Friday as we head into the weekend. So, God bless you all.